Welcome back. I have the easiest apple pie recipe you've ever made in your life today. It has 3 ingredients. That's it, I'm not kidding. And this is not an ingredient, this is my coffee because it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I am tired. But ingredients that you will need, we have first and foremost, apple pie filling. This is Original Country Apple by Duncan Hines. If you want to make your own filling to make it a little bit more homemade, this is your opportunity to do it. Next, we have Super Moist Spice Cake Mix by Betty Crocker. It has pudding mix in the cake batter, which makes it super moist and delicious. If you find a different cake mix, you're welcome to use it, but I highly recommend finding one with the pudding mix in it. And last but not least, we need about 1.5 sticks of unsalted butter. That's it. Optionally, for a 4th ingredient, if you're feeling a little crazy, you can throw in some powdered cinnamon on top of the apples, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But that's all we got in terms of ingredients. All you're gonna need for a pan is a 9x13 like this one, and that's pretty much it. So, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get into it. First and foremost, gotta open our apples. You definitely are gonna get a better quality apple pie dump cake dessert if you make your own apple filling, but the whole point of this video is to kind of show you that you can do this without any talent whatsoever, me, and doing it last minute. So first can going in, maybe. Ooh. And so the way I would tell you to do this to determine if you need cinnamon or not is just taste the filling, and if it tastes good to you, leave it. If you feel like you need more, add some cinnamon on top. I have a feeling that I am probably going to add some cinnamon because I like cinnamon, and if I can make this a little bit more homemade, I'm gonna try. So go down with can number 2, maybe. I did just taste it. It's definitely not homemade, but it's not bad. It's definitely sweet enough. I'm definitely gonna add some cinnamon to it though. So kind of just spread that out, make an even layer as best you can. I actually think that this 9x13 might be a little too big for this dish. I think smaller would be better, but I'm already kind of committed at this point, so we're gonna leave it and just see how it comes out. But I'm kind of having difficulty spreading the apples all the way across. So either grab a 3rd can of filling probably, or just go with a smaller pan. I mean, it does get there, but it's not a very thick layer, and I feel like I'd rather have this a little bit thicker than this. But so again, taste it. It's sweet, but I want some cinnamon. Just a little bit. Sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on top. Okay, that should be plenty. Then we're going to take our spice cake mix as such, but try to go with a light layer first, get even coverage, and then you can kind of lay it on top to the parts you missed. And if you're thinking, how in the world is this dry cake mix going to turn into a dessert with absolutely no wet part of it? Well, that's where the butter comes in. And I know I was skeptical at first when I started making these dump cakes too, but some kind of wizardry happens in those ovens with the butter and the batter, and it comes out unbelievable every time. I've made like 7 different kinds. They're all phenomenal. You can take your same spoon if you want and just kind of try to make an even layer as best you can. It doesn't have to be completely even, but as level as possible. Get all the corners too. Okay. That should be good. And then last but not least, all we need to do is create little pats of butter that's going to cover almost every bit of surface area here. 1.5 sticks should cover you. If you need more, use more. You don't want it to be dry. And we're going kind of like about that thick there, and just literally make like a complete coverage of your batter, or your dry cake mix, I should say. All right, from here, we're gonna take it, throw it in our 350-degree oven for 45 to 55 minutes. Take it out at the 45-minute mark, kind of just see how it looks. If the batter's not fully dissolved yet and made into like kind of a gooey topping, put it back in for another 5 minutes and just let it go. You may need to add a little bit more butter at that point as well. Just kind of use your judgment there, but that's all she wrote. Let's get it in the oven. At the 45-minute mark, I took it out of the oven and noticed that we have a few spots here that are just not getting covered with butter, and the butter's pretty much melted at this point. So if you have the same situation happen, just take a little bit more butter and kind of plop it on top of your spots that are dry, and then just put it back into the oven for another 5 or 10 minutes. Let that butter melt and absorb, and you should be good to go. All right, guys, as you saw, the 45-minute mark, we had like 2 or 3 spots of completely uncooked cake mix. So what I did is I threw a couple of pads of butter on top of those spots, threw it back in. The oven was completely off at this point. I just let the residual heat that was in there kind of melt that butter and let it soak in. And it looks pretty damn good right now. So you have to give it conservatively at least 15 minutes to cool off, or you're going to have apple pie lava, not dump cake. So I'll see you back here in about 15 minutes. We can cut on into this bad boy and give it a taste. All right, folks, been about 15 minutes of cooling. We're gonna cut ourselves a big piece here. It is quite squishy. It's not gonna be like an actual slice of pie. So you're gonna need kind of a spoon or a spatula. I actually think I might need to ditch the spoon and get a spatula because this is not gonna cut it. Okay. Okay, yeah, I mean, it looks delicious. It's definitely thin. I think a smaller baking sheet would be the better choice next time. But it's apple pie. You can't go wrong, right? And of course, it is spooky season now. I'm using my spooky season bowl. Let's get some close-ups and taste this bad boy. Give it a try. It's apple pie in 5 minutes of prep time. There's nothing else to say. This is delicious. You gotta try it. I'll see you on the next one.